My name is April May Bellia, and many of you, or some of you, might know me as the founder of Granola Girl Enterprises. It's a cereal that's available in Western Canada, and you can find it at most Save-On-Foods, London Drugs, and that's the company that I founded. But I'm also an entrepreneur, I'm a community builder, I'm a creative visionary, and an initiator. Basically, what is an initiator is I push people off the edge. So if that is something you need in your life, somebody that you can be accountable to and just help gently guide you along, then I'm the person for that because I'm very action oriented. I'm also a wife. I'm married for 20 years. I am a mother of 3 teenagers who are 16, 17, and 19. So rather than telling you a lot more about my bio, which can easily be found on my website, aprilmaybellia.com, I thought I would just take a little fun twist and tell you 3 fun facts about myself. So number 1, I am obsessed with France, and one day I hope to bring and host groups and do retreats in France. I have a 6-year-old Pomeranian Chihuahua named Rocky. I'm totally obsessed with him, and he has his own Instagram account. And I also started a private tour company called My Vancouver Tours. And ironically, I started it this year, and this is COVID year, so there aren't very many tourists coming into town, but I still want to continue pursuing that. So for all of you who are on the chat or who are here, do you want to just tell us one thing about yourself, and we can just, create a little communication, a little bit of networking. So one interesting thing about yourself that is exciting you right now. So let's see the chat room light up, and I'll continue on. One thing I'd like for you to think about is what is an outcome you're hoping to get from this workshop today? What was it that drew you in to join? Are you looking for solutions? Are you looking for how to navigate, these times, these COVID times? Is your life in chaos? Is there times in your life you remember being in chaos and also getting out of it? And what are the steps that will take you from chaos to clarity? So let's go to the next slide. Leanne's actually taking care of my slideshow. The first question is chaos necessary? Can we live our life without experiencing chaos? Well, absolutely. I believe chaos is necessary in our lives, and we can't actually avoid it. And from this quote, you need chaos in your soul to give birth to a dancing star. If you think about the Big Bang Theory, just like what's illustrated here, there was once a big ball of energy and it exploded, eventually creating the galaxies and the solar system, and it's infinity, and it's like things are still being created out of what we would call chaos. So in the context of entrepreneurship, chaos is actually the birthplace of startup. This is one of the reasons why you're actually here today. So chaos is the birthplace of startup, right? Just think about that, the birthplace of creativity. So your ideas for creating a business or doing a startup came out of solving a problem. And if there are no problems to solve, then there wouldn't be a reason for us to create businesses. Entrepreneurs are creative problem solvers. Entrepreneurs want to live purposeful lives. So I want you to think about living on purpose. Living on purpose is something that we strive for, we aim for, right? How can we live on purpose? But it can be really frustrating because think about trying to find something that you lost. You're in a hurry, you have to get in the car, go to a meeting, go to a class, and you can't find your keys. Well, finding something when you're under pressure creates a lot of stress. But if you think about feeling on purpose, this is something where you actually don't have to do anything. Feeling on purpose is just a state of being. So there is a big difference between finding your purpose and feeling on purpose. So we're just going to address this bigger topic as we look through the chaos cycle. And it's just a different perspective, right? So let's start with the chaos cycle. If you have access to the worksheet, this is what you would be seeing. It's something you can also print up if you're listening to the replay and fill it in and take notes. As you can see, there's 4 quadrants in the chaos cycle, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And let's go through each quadrant one by one. Okay, so moving from chaos and overwhelm to clarity, inspired action, and flow. In the first stage, let's start with number 1, chaos. What does chaos look like for you? You can take some notes, you can write it down. Maybe you've had to deal with, how to navigate around Hopin. This is feeling kind of chaotic. Let's go to the next slide and I'll take you through it. There's more examples like that other people would have experienced when they think of chaos. It could be feelings of overwhelm. Maybe there was a time in your life when you were feeling sad or depressed, frustrated, irritable, angry. Maybe you were fired from your job or a relationship ended. The feeling in your body feels like a brain fog. Sometimes you feel really paralyzed and you can't even get out of bed. Decisions that used to be easy, like what am I going to wear today, are actually really hard. So you feel indecisive. Some people would call it the dark night of the soul. And others, like I've identified, it was a gut-wrenching soul pain. So I'm pretty sure we're all human and we've all experienced this in one form or another. And I also want to just add something by saying, I've attended some of the other workshops today on Hopin, and these are all fantastic workshops that have to do with your business and startup and legal and mentorship and social media or marketing. But what we're talking about today is going to be beneficial for your mental health. Because I'm an entrepreneur and I've had a business, Granola Girl, for 10 years. So I've definitely experienced the ups and downs, and knowing information like this that deals with personal growth or mental health is really going to come into play when you hit those challenges and obstacles. So for you, if you've written what chaos looks like, let's talk about how to get out of chaos. So in the next slide, we've got these action steps. Create space and healthy boundaries. So you've all heard of Marie Kondo, like how to simplify your life, how to purge, only keep things that bring you joy. Creating space in a physical setting means getting rid of things, right? Like you want to clear the clutter. How many of you during COVID started emptying out your closets and donating a lot of things? Like donation piles were super high. So this is about creating space. We're in our homes all the time. If you see too much clutter or too many things, then your brain feels also pretty cluttered. What about creating space in your life? You might have some people in your life that are draining you, taking your energy away, always asking for things. This is when we would create healthy boundaries, right? Perhaps letting go of relationships that no longer serve us, having courageous conversations with people who keep asking and taking, and you're feeling resentful. So out of chaos, create space, create healthy boundaries, and learn to say no. This is definitely going to come in handy when you're building businesses because you can't say yes to everything. So now we've moved into the second phase, the creative phase. Like that initial quote said, this is where creativity is born. This is probably where you start daydreaming and getting inspired, attending talks, reading lots of books, receiving information. Now that you have space in your life, you can fill it with creative ideas. So you can also say, capture the downloads. You might get inspired and think of a new idea. So you want to write it down. Write it, journal, contemplate, discern. You know, you're receiving so many ideas. Which do you choose? Evaluate the pros and the cons. Is this an idea that I might want to pursue? And this requires spending time alone. This requires clearing your space, having a clear mind, letting the creative ideas flow, and not keeping yourself busy by like attending too many workshops or attending too many networking events and just being on the go all the time, but maybe just taking walks or meditation and doing things that allow you to let the creativity come through. So now we're going to go into the next action step. What do you do with all these creative ideas? This is what I call the universal algorithm and co-creation. So many of you might have done Google searches online for specific things. So say you are redecorating your home and you want to, create a new space, and you start looking up gray curtains. Okay, so before you had like brown curtains, you're changing the color scheme, and now you want gray curtains. So you start Googling it in, gray curtains, you find it. All of a sudden, you're on another window, you're checking Facebook, these ads for gray curtains start coming up, right? There's an algorithm that was read because you did a search, and now it's giving you more ideas on where to buy these items you were looking for. So in the case of the universal algorithm, this is you creating ideas, putting it out into the world, like declaring it out loud, whether you've told a friend, made an announcement on LinkedIn, this is what you plan to do. What's going to come back is synchronicity, serendipities. We can't deny this happens to all of us. How many times have you even just thought of a person? You woke up one morning and thought, of a friend, maybe you haven't seen for a while, but this friend's name pops up in your head. Next thing you know, you're walking down the street and you might bump into him or her, or maybe they call you. How many times have you written that email or text, I was just thinking about you. I've been meaning to call you. And they did the work for you, so you didn't have to. And this is how the universal algorithm works. If in an oversimplified version, you put something out there, the universe listens and feeds it to you in the form of maybe a person or a book, a website. Maybe the person that you meet brings you information that you happen to be looking for. Maybe you're spending hours and hours on research, and all you do is have one single conversation and all the answers you're looking for were right there. Easy. So this actually requires no effort. And this is what leads you into the third phase, R&R. R&R stands for rest and rejuvenate, restore and relax, sit back, let it be, and allow. This is when the universe gets busy, the synchronicities happen, alignment happens, and what I love, this is my favorite word, the art of serendipity. Serendipity is actually an art. It's the art of finding the wonderfully unexpected. So you could be walking along the street, maybe you're on vacation, and you find something amazing and wonderful that you didn't even know you were looking for. And yet it's just was delivered to you. So Jenny says, I love how the universe works with ease, so much ease. And this is an important step that so many people disregard or avoid. They're like, I'm in creation mode. I need to like build and I'm on a rocket ship. There's no slowing down now. And they go right into action mode, and guess what? Straight back into chaos. I also like to use the analogy of parents who are expecting a baby. So now I've heard of this new expression called a baby moon. You know exactly how busy your life is going to be when you have a baby. There is no time for rest. So what do? They go on a baby moon. They take a vacation. They sleep as much as they can because they know what's around the corner. Once the baby is born, there is absolutely no time for that. So think of your business as your baby. You're going to need all that energy and time dedicated to your business, that perhaps this is the perfect time to just take a holiday. And by holiday, I mean go to someplace quiet, let all of those ideas brew and stew and marinate, right? Before you go into action mode. And this is the next action step before we get into the final phase of inspired action. The next slide is a full heart yes. This is what inspired action is. Inspired action is not just action for the sake of acting, for the sake of doing. You know, we love being busy by doing, being productive, having like results. But inspired action means we can discern exactly what to act on based on how we feel. So think of like your inner compass, right? Think of your gut feeling or your heart. When you feel inspired, it feels like your heart is actually expanding. You feel lighter. Conversely, when it's a full heart no, you know it. You feel something, you walk into a room, you are like, I am not supposed to be here. This is a no, and you can feel it right away. So what I invite you to tap into is, what does a full heart yes feel like? You know, you see a beautiful news story of someone doing good, helping the community, volunteering, saving lives. Those make your heart feel good. Conversely, a lot of fear, a lot of like negativity, a lot of violence, full heart no. I don't want to add that or include that into my life. So when you get into this full heart yes mode, you feel like you're in flow. It gives you permission to keep going. It's almost like doors will open up. You ask for this, one door opens, another door opens. You're not really hitting those brick walls. And this is what leads us to clarity. This final step of inspired action is really all about being clear on what to act on, because you know exactly what you want in your life and you know what you want to happen in your life. So in the final slide, this action is you feel motivated. You jump out of bed in the morning. You can't wait to wake up and start the day. Ideas are clear and flowing. It's easy and effortless. You feel like you're on top of the world. Maybe you've been given too much. You can't handle everything. Now's the time to ask for help, ask for support. Being grateful, right? Always practicing gratitude allows more blessings to come in. So once you make those brave steps to say, thank you for all the abundance that I'm receiving. I need help with this. People show up. You are now in the energy or in the vortex of being so grateful that you are rewarded with even more abundance. And this is where you become clear about the idea that you initially had is now ready to come into fruition. You've nurtured it, you know, like a plant. You've watered it, you've taken care of it, given it light, given it water, given it food, sang to it, doing everything you can because it feels good. You feel motivated. So all of these arrows going from 1 to 4 are one-way arrows, right? But easily you can go back to chaos. And this is how to avoid going back into chaos. So this next slide, instead of an arrow, it actually has an X. So let's go to that. See, we don't want to go back into chaos. Oh, can we go back to that last slide? So how to avoid going back into chaos is you really need to check in. You need to check in with your energy. You need to check in with, am I doing too much? Am I going to burn out? Is this a time to start saying no? I need to take care of myself. Maybe I haven't had a holiday. Maybe I haven't, like, you might experience burnout. When you're feeling like really, in flow, it's easy to say yes to a lot of things. You're like, yeah, I can handle it. Sure, no problem. Let's just keep going. Give me what you got. I can handle it. I am Superwoman. We feel like that at times. And when we don't catch ourselves, we might end up saying yes to too much. And that will lead us right back into chaos. So that is pretty much the chaos cycle. You're going to have this slide for you to look over again. And when you do, I want you to write out and customize what this looks like for you for different situations. When you're being creative, what does it look like when you feel inspired? Do you watch a talk? Do you walk in the woods? Do you walk by the seawall? What inspires you? We have a question from Jenny. How can we distinguish R&R just wanting to lazy? Okay, well, in this phase of R&R, I don't think you would feel lazy. You have to actually be intentional about, this is the time to rest because I can feel something brewing. Think of your cup of tea, right? I poured myself a cup of tea. Once I put the water in, did I drink it right away? No. You have to let it steep. So you actually have to intentionally slow down before the action starts flowing, before you feel inspired. This is also going to be a very personal question where these steps are not in a linear fashion. I'm not going to say like, okay, chaos lasts 3 months. Once your 3 months is over, move into creative. You're going to have to decide for yourself what mode you're in. And you might not go from one to another in a like cut and start fashion, but it could flow. Like you could still be in creative mode, but maybe you feel creative when you are relaxing. Maybe more ideas will flow. So I don't think there's any laziness in here. Laziness would come in chaos, when you feel like unmotivated to do anything. Thank you. Any other questions? I can open it up for a bit, and I'm just going to check in where I'm at. And our timing is good. So yeah, only you are going to determine how long you're going to stay in a phase. I want to also talk about the subject of depression. When people are depressed and it lasts for 2 weeks, and 2 weeks turns into 2 months, or 2 months turns into a year. Depression is also a time for people to recognize that they need deep rest. That's what it stands for. You've burnt out. You're not motivated to act, but maybe you just really need to rest before you start acting, before you start creating space and healthy boundaries. Your body is telling you, it's not a time to make big decisions. So slow down. I'm going to give you another example. I was really excited. I had a lot of energy. I was like going to go, go, go. And then guess what? I roll my ankle. And I thought, okay, well, I thought I was going to start hiking or, joining all these fitness programs, and I was ready, and I roll my ankle. And I have to look within and say, okay, what is this? What is the lesson here? Maybe I need to slow down. Maybe I can't jump into it. Maybe you're not ready for boxing classes and I need to do something else that's a little bit more easy, like yoga. So I thought, okay, well, I'm going to get this. I'm going to start that. Not going to want to jump ahead, take my time. Same thing as in business. You feel pumped. You feel like ready to go and you just want to dive in head on. Something might happen in your life that forces you to slow down because you don't recognize how to slow down for yourself. Maybe you get sick. Maybe COVID happens. I told you earlier that this year I was going to create a private tour company called My Vancouver Tours. COVID happens. It's not happening. That business is not happening this year. So I am going to have this year to get more creative about that particular business. Right? It's not ready to bloom. It's not ready to be birthed. So maybe it means, April, go back to the drawing board, see what you can do. But I didn't want to give up completely. So COVID came at a time that is forcing a lot of people to get out of chaos. In a nutshell, I'm going to say COVID became a time for us to clear, purge, take inventory of your life, take inventory of where you're at, your relationships, your home. Maybe you were at a job that you just weren't happy at and you were actually thankful to be let go because you couldn't do that. You couldn't just quit your job. And there's the universe again working for you. You don't want to quit. We're going to create a situation that you don't want to be in anyways. You're going to be let go. Then you get into create, dream, rest, relax, be intentional, visualize, meditate. Like for you, what is something that actually came out of COVID that was positive? Did your relationships flourish? You know, for the people that you were seeing, did those relationships get closer, deeper, more meaningful? Did you have new ideas that are that you're now taking care of and nurturing? Did you go into the quiet mode, right? Like, did you go into isolated places around the province or wherever you are and start journaling? What are some things for you that you can say was a blessing from COVID? And that's the difference between us optimists and pessimists. You know, pessimists are just going to talk about COVID like it was the most horrible thing. Like their life ended because of COVID. Dreams were shattered. But for the optimist, we're like, you know what? COVID was actually a good thing. COVID helped me. COVID got rid of the relationship. COVID got rid of the job. Now I get to start over. So another part of this presentation is called Feeling on Purpose. And this is really something I am very passionate about. On my signature, I put, you know, my name, contact information, and my quote is, live a life of passion and purpose. Luckily, I feel fortunate enough to have a life where I can wake up in the morning and I get to do things that a lot of people can't. I've worked hard my entire life. I've come to a place where I'm excited for what the days to come. I'm excited, like, who do I get to meet today? What do I get to do? What are some ideas that I get to create or act on? So what I'm actually going to give you today is, for any of you who love formulas, this is called the Feeling on Purpose formula. So let's go into the next slide, where this is the time to ask yourself, when is the last time you danced? You know, anybody here dance in their living room? When was the last time you sang out loud? maybe in your car, I think that's a reflection of how you're feeling, right? You're so excited, you will just start dancing automatically. You hear a song, maybe you're at the grocery store and you just kind of like moved a little bit because it inspired you. Or I know, like for my own kids, when they're feeling happy, they might just start singing. And it's so random. If you have kids, when is the last time you played? When's the last time you were on the monkey bars or the playground or even played a sport? Has your life become so busy that you forgot how to have fun? Is your life so busy, are you living on a rocket ship getting this business out there that you forgot to daydream? And here are some tips on your slide. Daydreaming tips, right? If in case you have forgotten, here are some little tips to help you get back into playful mode. Whatever that looks like for you. I'm just reading some of the chat. The air is cleaner with COVID. Yeah, now you can rest. It's opportunity for people to stay in, reflect. Exactly. And yes, the universal algorithm. Thanks, Edna. So let's go to the next slide because this is where we're going to how to feel on purpose, right? When you're just doing a job or working somewhere and you think of it as, this is my 9 to 5, I go in, I clock in, I do my time, I get my paycheck. That's work time. And playtime usually is after work or on weekends. But what if you can live a life where work time is the same as playtime? Do you even believe this is possible? I'm not going to do a poll, but if you believe playtime equals work time, just put a yes in the chat group. So remember the things that you did when you were little, like rolling in the grass, having water gun fights, playing an instrument, jumping into leaves, going on roller coasters, monkey bars, eating freezies, okay? What if doing things like this was actually your job? I went on another call where it was a mentor-mentee relationship, and this woman had created like brown butter and adds it to like cooking or baking. Well, for her, as she's developing these ideas, this brown butter was her playtime. Like cooking is playtime. And she created a business out of it. So she's actually playing. She's not working. When I created Granola Girl, I was doing what I already love doing. I love creating new recipes. I love playing in the kitchen, formulating new flavors. I did that with wedding cakes, like a lot of baking. I have an extensive baking experience. But what if, playing video games is what you do at work because you're a programmer or because you're in tech? So this is what, for me, feeling on purpose feels like when work time and playtime are intermixed. They're overlapping. They're actually the same thing. So for you, think of the things that you love, that are meaningful to you, that allow you to play, and is that something you can include in a business model? So let's go into the next slide. And this is the Feel on Purpose formula. Next slide. This is going to be in your handout that looks like this on the very bottom left side. Let's go to the next slide and I'll have it a little bit bigger. So Feel on Purpose formula, FOP formula, equals SG plus M plus B and RV. So I'm going to go through these quite quickly, one by one, so that when you come back to this formula, you're able to put in and customize what these things are for you. So I'm going to jump to M, meaningful to you. Again, go back to daydreaming, playing, having fun, playtime. What is meaningful to you? What are some things you're passionate about? And if you feel brave enough to put in the chat room, tell us, what is meaningful to you? For me, what's meaningful is community. Creating a community of like-minded people centered around a product that I created called Granola Girl. I was looking for women, especially, that I wanted to relate to, whether it was being active in the community, healthy lifestyles, doing events, doing fundraisers. What's meaningful to me is also supporting other women in business, because as a woman in business, I know the obstacles we're up against. I know what we have to do to be seen, to be recognized. And we have to work a little harder, I feel, just to, have our seat at the table, so to speak. So supporting other women in business means I also can relate to, what's going on maybe outside of business, whether they're raising families or in relationships, or want to learn more about life balance and being an entrepreneur. What's also meaningful to me is connection. So I love networking, and not networking for the sake of just exchanging business cards, but networking to actually know someone, to get to know them better. Connecting. So what is meaningful to you? Do you love working with animals? Are you an environmentalist? Are you into fitness, right? There's going to be one area of your life that you enjoy so much more that it's a non-negotiable, that it's something you have to have in your life and have it present on an almost daily basis. So that's M. Let's go over to B, benefit. Who can benefit from working with you? Who are some people that you would love to help? Do you love mentoring students? Do you love helping animals? Who would be the recipient of your services or product? So in my case, again, Granola Girl benefits busy families, busy moms who want healthy food for their children. Something quick and easy they can just add milk to, add on yogurt. So there is an audience, there is a market that can benefit from something that I created. They could also benefit from my services. I want to help women who are in the startup phase of business, because I can pass on some of my knowledge and experience and wisdom that I've gained from running my own business. So young women in business, I work with Futurepreneur as a mentor as well. I've given talks to other companies and students, like at Langara, at Tamwood, all the way from like grade 7 up to university students. Peter says, oh, thanks so much, Peter. Thanks for being here for now. And you can see the rest of the presentation when you get it, copy. Okay, so again, who can benefit and who do you love to work with? Who are some people that when you wake up in the morning, I get to work with them? I also have experience with children with special needs. I have a son with autism, and he definitely benefits from all of the people and teachers who work with him. He works with therapists, speech therapists, he's in college. So those people, they love their jobs, they find it very rewarding. They get to work with my son, and he definitely benefits from their services. And I'm so grateful those people exist. Okay, let's move on to the next one is right vehicle. This is RV. So the vehicle is the modality, the platform, the vehicle to get your message, your product, your service out to the world. Again, with my example with Granola Girl, or the vehicle of entrepreneurship allowed me to connect with other women, to connect with families, to connect with health and wellness professionals who wanted to have like an healthier alternative. So what is the vehicle for you? Is it entrepreneurship? Is it working for a company whose values align with yours? Is it giving presentations online or live? Could it be an online social media presence? What is the vehicle that's going to get your message out into the world? So there you go. The last thing you can see on the right side of your screen is the H factor. H factor is the human factor. If we had all of these variables figured out, sacred gifts, meaningful to you, benefit to others, right vehicle, H factor is what is something that's still in the way of you feeling on purpose. So here's another example. Say you know what you want to do, you know what your gifts are, what's meaningful to you, but you have an illness in the family. Perhaps you have an aging parent. Maybe you even have an illness or something that's health related that you need to take care of. So even though all of these things are in place, you still can't achieve it. You're not feeling on purpose because you need to attend to something else. H factor could also be, I've started a new company and I really want to put my all and give it 100% and work full time, but I just had a baby. I have like a toddler and it's really slowing down the process of me and my rocket ship to launch this business. And it's not something that you need to like fix right away. What I'm here to tell you is that these H factors are okay. You just need to have a little more compassion for yourselves, right? And understand that we all are human and we can't do everything on our own timeline. Sometimes there are factors that we can't really help, right? We can't decide, who's going to get sick, maybe someone in your family, or you need to take care of a child with special needs. But here's the biggest H factor a lot of people encounter. What's in the way of getting what they want is themselves. The H factor is fear. The fear that I'm not good enough. I don't know how to do this. I don't have any support. I can't do this. How can I do this? And here's 3 little things. Here's a little bit of a side note. 3 things that cause a business to break down are feeling overwhelmed, a lack of information, or lack of support. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, go back to the chaos cycle. If you are lacking information, go and do some research. If you're lacking support from your family or friends, because this journey, this roller coaster, it's quite hard. If you're lacking support, go and find your community. Go and find other startups, other entrepreneurs, other like-minded people who have been through that. Go and find a mentor. That is probably like the number one thing if you're in a startup. Find a mentor. They are going to fast track you. They're going to share their wisdom and knowledge so that you don't make the same mistakes, so that you will save time, energy, and money when you have a mentor. So the bottom line is, don't let yourself get in the way of feeling on purpose. And that's going to be more mindset. So moving on, we've addressed all of these things in the Feel on Purpose formula, M, B, and RV. What we didn't talk about yet is sacred gifts. So what are sacred gifts? Sacred gifts are unexplained abilities that we have from birth to death that allow us to do certain things extraordinarily well. So you have this inexplicable ability to do something so well that you can do it with your eyes closed. You can, do it in your sleep. It's so easy for you. And not everybody has these. They're not skills, but I call them talents. They're God-given talents. These are sacred gifts that you're born with. And we know these exist because there are children who are literally 2 years old, and you give them a pair of drumsticks and they're drumming as if they've been drumming for like 10 years. And they're 2, not a single lesson. They have this sacred gift of music. We call these kids like super gifted. Well, it's actually a sacred gift. And there are 24 sacred gifts in total. Here are some other characteristics of sacred gifts. You're born with these traits. These are not skills that you learn. They're similar to strengths finders, but more spiritual. They are part of your beingness. Again, you don't have to do much to be able to use these gifts. They just come very naturally to you. Sacred gifts can be active or dormant. So maybe there's a time in your life where the gifts don't get a chance to reveal themselves. They haven't fully blossomed or matured, or maybe they didn't even have an opportunity to be shown. So they're either active or dormant, not necessarily strong or weak. And they're a way, knowing what your sacred gifts are is a way for you to give back and to be of service to other people. So I'm just going to take a little pause right now. Are there any questions before we move on? Can I see the next slide, please? And the next. Now we're going to get into, this is the program that I do, and it's an online program called Discover Your Sacred Gifts. It's a list of 120 questions, just like you would take an online survey for Strength Finders. Sacred Gifts is 120 questions that you fill out, send the results to me, and then we will uncover and reveal what your sacred gifts are so that you can actually put this into the formula. So if you have a pen and paper, now is the time to go to the bottom right of the worksheet where the numbers are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 from top to bottom. And we're going to go through some questions. I'm going to give you examples of what the questions look like if you were to take this Sacred Gifts Inventory questionnaire. So next sheet, please. Okay, so you're going to write on a scale of 0 to 3, rarely being 0, 1 is sometimes, 2 is often, and almost always is a 3. So next to these questions, you would give yourself a score from 0 to 3. Number 1, quite effortlessly, I can bring order to disorganized or chaotic situations. Number 2, I enjoy taking on a complex project or idea and breaking it down into parts to see what needs to be done. 0 would be rarely, almost always would be 3. Number 3, I'm effective at delegating. Give yourself a score. I'm effective at delegating. 4, I've been effective in formal or informal negotiations or mediations. I've been effective in formal or informal negotiations or mediations. And the last one, I have created systems and structures for the purpose of efficiency. 0 to 3. Now you're going to add up your scores, 1 to 5, for a total of 15 would be the highest score. Excuse me. Add up your totals for this gift. If you have a score and you scored between 0 and 5, 5 to 10, or 11 to 15, let me know what your score is. I don't know if everyone's actually doing this. But if you have a score from 0 to 15, you can write it in the chat group. Awesome. Thank you for those who are participating. So the result here is the higher the score, the higher chance and higher likelihood you have this gift of, can I get to the next slide, please, Leanne? This would be the sacred gift of planning and administration. And so I'm going to read a description of the key aspects. If you scored anywhere between a 10 to 15, this is definitely a strong gift for you. The key aspects of the sacred gift of planning and administration. Thank God for you guys. You bring spreadsheets. No system would exist without this gift being present. You find joy in planning, organizing, coordination. You are natural project planners. You have the supernatural ability to create, organize, and sustain all aspects of getting a job done. For those of you who scored a 10 to 15, you are the COOs of the company. If you are the COO, you are in the perfect position of helping the CEO of the company. Excuse me, I need to have a glass of water. You love implementation phase. You love problem solving through efficient planning. You're excellent at delegating and influencing others to step in. You're excellent in negotiation and mediation. Large projects get done with low stress because you actually find joy in doing it. Lots of people learn to be organized, but they don't actually love it. You guys love it. You have a meticulous eye for detail. You're the most amazing jugglers with often several projects on the go. You organize and delegate because of the good of the outcome. So it's not that you're a bossy person, but you are interested in results and you want to motivate people to get the job done. At the heart of it all, you have a love of people and you want your work to make things better for others. It's important for you the social impact your projects have. If the need isn't meaningful to you, then you won't feel on purpose. When you're around, there's a lot less confusion because you can clearly see what needs to get done and you do not waste a lot of effort. Things just seem to unfold very smoothly. So for any of you who scored between 10 to 15, do you agree with these key aspects? Does it resonate for you? Does it feel like I've just described you to a T, even though I've never met you? Sanjeev, this is a sacred gift that's strong in you, and it's going to be instrumental to any CEO of a company to have you on their team. So if you need to add that to your resume or interview, this is definitely something that can be backed up because of the results that you've gotten from other projects. Same thing with you, Marissa. You have the sacred gift of planning and administration. So congratulations. Are you interested in doing another one? Let's go on. So you're gonna, again, put your numbers 1 to 5 and give yourselves a score from 0 to 3. Oh, Jenny's having fun, great. This is one of my favorites. Remember, there are 24 gifts in total and we're only gonna go over 2 of them. Number 1, score yourself 0 if it's rarely, or 3, almost always. I am willing to step out of the unknown and see what happens. Number 2, I know things will work out for the good. Give yourselves a score. I know things will work out for the good. Number 3, I've taken risks in my life that others find extraordinary or crazy. Number 4, when faced with making important life decisions, I've taken big leaps of faith. And number 5, I exhibit extraordinary trust in God, the universe, a higher power, or inner power. When you've given yourselves a score for those questions, add up your scores, 0 to 15. And even if you have a very low score, I would still be interested in knowing what your score is, even if it's a 0, 1, or 2. Just as much as the 11, 12 to 15, please put your score. Wow, Jenny, beautiful. Okay, well, do you want to hear more about yourselves? And this sacred gift, for the next slide, this is the sacred gift of extraordinary trust. For me, this gift is also a 15 out of 15. For planning and administration, I might be more of a 7 or 8, not a strong gift, but this one, it's the top. Here are the key aspects of the sacred gift of extraordinary trust. You trust in the unfolding of life itself. You have a belief in God, the universe, a higher power, or a God of your own understanding. You see life through rose-colored glasses, and you're a true optimist. You have radical faith that things always work out for the best. You take exceptional risks. Other people think we're crazy. We feel confident and thrive in making difficult decisions. We feel equipped to handle many situations. For people in our lives, they can often be frustrated with us because they overly worry, and we do not. We're the ones who are really able to sit back and relax and let the universe do its job because we have this gift. Sometimes we seem too laid back or unconcerned when other people stress out, and we're the ones who just usually say, like, don't worry, it's going to work out. We are the eternal optimists. So if you scored anywhere between 10 and 15, does this sound like you? And if you didn't, maybe you have a better understanding of the people in your life who do have this gift. There's an explanation why we don't see eye to eye. This is the main difference between optimists and pessimists. And we balance each other out. If we were all optimists, we would never slow down. So when you see life through rose-colored glasses in times of COVID, you are looking at the positive. You believe that these things that are happening in the world are happening for us. We're not victims of them. We can see the silver lining in every cloud. For those of you who do not have this gift, can you understand why people like us exist? Because this gift is in us. We can't actually help it. So I hope that makes sense. And I wonder, did you enjoy that? Jenny says, being an optimist can be frustrating at times. It's true, but we also have to be realistic. So I'm not sure what the next screen is going to be like, but let's see, Leanne. Does anyone have any questions or feedback at this point? Okay, so here are some testimonials that I pulled out from my website, because I've been doing this, I've been administering this course for the past 3 years now, and I can actually see how it's impacting people through the testimonials that they give me. And I can see what kind of impact it's having in their lives, even though they might not have signed on for the original thing that they thought. You know, people thought that they were just going to learn, oh, I want to know what my gifts are. Just like people saying, I want to know what my strength finders are, or my Myers-Briggs or Enneagram. It just helps you have more insight into yourself and who you are on a deeper level. So if you could read some of these quotes, like, this course helped me learn so much about myself. I appreciate who I am. This also helps with the H factor. If there are things you think you can't do, let's focus on the things that you can. What are the gifts and talents that are going to help your business? And for the things that you don't have and that don't come naturally to you, that's where you're going to have to ask for help. One girl says, I've grown in so many ways. She made me realize I had the absolute choice to live beyond my fears and to live boldly. So when you are equipped with this information about yourself, it's so much more empowering. I'm reading this comments that Jenny's saying, many people find you fake. Well, I wonder if that's true. Most likely not. You just have the gift of extraordinary trust and you're optimist. So it's not like you're going to go around saying, well, you might have your opinions of me, but this is who I am. And guess what? Who cares? It's you. If you're happy with who you are and these gifts that you have, does it really matter what other people think? Yes, we have to live in a world with other people who may sometimes judge us, but when you are confident and strong enough and know who you are, it really doesn't matter what other people say. So I would like to take a few shares. Does anybody have something to share, like maybe what really stood out for you in this presentation? Something you can put, like something that really maybe spoke to you, something that you would apply like today or tomorrow, maybe a next action step that you would take based on the chaos cycle or feeling on purpose. So as a maybe side effect of taking the Discover Your Sacred Gifts course, it's also important to know what our gifts are not. Like I said, if you know what your gifts are and focus on them, knowing what your gifts are not allows other people to live in your gifts. So with Sanjeev, for example, he has the gift of, planning and administration. Well, if I don't have that gift and I'm a visionary, I need someone like Sanjeev. And we're going to both be so much happier when Sanjeev does what he's best at, which is planning and admin. And I'm left to being the CEO or the visionary and holding the company together and communicating the vision to everyone who works there. And you can clearly see how both our roles are very different, but also very necessary. So when you are in the startup phase and you're building a team, you want to build a team of people who are different than you. You don't want to have 10 CEOs on the team. You want to have people who have different gifts so that you can create a more balanced and well-rounded team where everyone is living out their passion and purpose. Because I might not be passionate about spreadsheets, but Sanjeev is, or someone else who has this gift of administration. So I will happily allow those who have those gifts to use them in their fullest expression. When there are creative people in my team, I really don't want to impede their creativity. I want to say, show me what you can present. Let's hear your ideas, and then we discuss. I don't really want to set any boundaries because maybe I am limited to what I think can happen. But if you give someone who is creative freedom, they're going to show you something far better than what you even imagined because they are living in their gifts. So can you see why most people are not feeling on purpose or don't know what their purpose is? Because they're focusing on finding something. They're feeling like the purpose is out there and it's something that you need to go and do and get and bring back. But the reality is feeling on purpose all begins with you, and all the answers that you need to find are within, not outside. This is a very personal journey and a very personal adventure of what it means to feel on purpose. So why a lot of people aren't living on purpose is because they haven't taken the time to know what their gifts and talents are. They have no idea. They have no clue. Maybe they need to ask people like, what am I good at? Well, hopefully, when you take inventory of what you think your gifts are, taking the course, Discover Your Sacred Gifts, can provide a lot more validation. There is the sacred gift of craftsmanship. So if you're crafty with your hands, if you love sewing or creating art, that is a definite gift you probably already knew you had. But when I have a session with you, we will actually be discussing your top 5 to 7 gifts and see how they're interconnected or how they play out in different areas of your life. So sacred gifts is a piece of foundation that once you have, you can build on. Everything you do will all of a sudden make sense when you know what your gifts are. So going through life not knowing your gifts is like building a house and not knowing what tools you have, or maybe you have the tools and you're not using them, or you don't even have a good foundation to build on. So it could be really frustrating. But once you have identified your gifts, it's a piece of your foundation that you can build and build and build and grow. Everything you do will make more sense when you know your gifts. Can I get to the next slide, please? And I just want to say thank you, Leanne, for being such a great helper and moderator or taking care of my slides. For everyone who is on the call today, I invite you to come to my website, book a discovery session. Let's talk more. Connect with me on LinkedIn or Instagram, Facebook even. You can connect with me here, but there's so much information that you guys are absorbing today, not only by me, but by all of the other sessions. Even if it's next week, just find a way to reach out and connect with me, and let's talk more about sacred gifts. Let's talk about feeling on purpose. I would love to know your startup ideas. I do a lot of mentorship, and I'm very passionate about these initial phases because for me, I know these are the most exciting. So I'm going to be right along with you, getting excited when other people don't necessarily, have a clue about what you're talking about, or you feel too scared to share your big ideas, because the reality is when you do, a lot of people just tend to shut it down. There's a lot of naysayers out there, and whether intentional or not, it's hard for them to see you succeed or want to succeed when you have big dreams, because they care about you so much. They just don't want you to fall flat or fail. But I'm here to say, you got to do it anyways. And I know you're determined and you feel so passionate about something, you can't not do it. Does that make sense? I've been interviewed a lot by, young people who write articles and do interviews, and they say, what is your number one piece of advice for anyone who wants to start a business? And my answer is, don't do it. Don't do it until you have to do it, until there's something inside of you that won't even let you move forward until you act on this or pursue it. But I want to help people when they are in the startup phase to do it right. You can do it, but why not do it the right way? Why not do it in a way where you feel supported, where you can save time, energy, money, and not just build a business out of passion? Sometimes that's not enough. So please connect with me. I would love to hear your ideas. And I'm going to leave you with a few closing quotes before we get into some questions. I want to leave you with this. Always remember, you are the creator of your life. Don't walk around feeling like life is happening to you and you have to constantly put out fires. How about living a life where you get to create what you want to do? It's not about control, but also knowing and recognizing that life is happening for you. Whether you have, struggles or challenges, they're happening for you for a reason. These are my 2 other favorites. Those who don't believe in magic will never find it, so don't ever let that burn out. And here's the other one by old Bill Shakespeare. The meaning of life is to find your gift. The purpose of life is to give it away. And lastly, one more. This is Mark Twain. The 2 most important days of your life is the day you were born and the day you find out why. So, any questions? Okay, I see a few coming on the chat. Oh, thank you, Jenny. Marissa, I like how you include the universe and other concepts. Okay, this is definitely an idea or topics of discussion that don't usually come up in startup, in business. You know, I always believe that starting a business, being an entrepreneur is not something you necessarily can learn at school. It is something that you are born with. You're born to do. You can't help it, just like your gifts. You don't know why you're good at some things and have passion for some things over another. But when you do feel it, you know it. And you're born with it. And it's so deep inside that you can't help it.